What is going on, Small Gains family? We're talking about something I've been obsessing over for the past year, and I think I've finally managed to get all my thoughts out about it. And that topic is, in the world we live in today, we don't have as much time to train as we think we do. We live in a very fast paced capitalist society, those of us especially that are in the UK and the US. Our attention is demanded so much everywhere, all of the time. In the UK and probably a lot of other places for a lot of listeners outside the UK, we're in a cost of living crisis, which means earning money and work is so crucial for us to be able to manage day to day, and stuff's expensive. And when we actually think about how much spare time we do have in a week, we definitely don't have as much as we think we do. And this is what I want to lay out for you today. I have had a forever struggle with time blindness, which is a classic trait of ADHD. And it's always been a struggle when I've been self-employed, being able to fit in everything I want. It always seems like I plan and I'm so organized, but no matter how thoroughly I plan, time just gets away with me and I don't manage to fit everything in. And if I'm being brutally honest with you, August last year, I hit a complete wall with my time management. I felt really confused and frustrated, and I'd been full with clients for a while. All of my training was getting done, but I just wasn't feeling good. And I took a week off, and I had a realization while I was away when I stopped working that I don't think I've got enough hours in the week to do what I'm actually setting out to do, what I'm promising myself I'm going to do. And that means I'm going to come away deflated and disappointed in myself every time. So what I did was I came home and I got out a spreadsheet and I mapped out all the hours it took to do everything that I do in the week, but not just work and training and social, literally everything in between as well. The time that I wanted to spend making sure I could do my laundry, basic hygiene, taking the dog for a walk twice a day, the time it takes to drive to the gym, drive back. And I even got so specific as to start timing tasks that I did in my work day. And that's probably more something that's useful for a self-employed person when we manage our own time. But the realization was that I was trying to cram so much in and there literally wasn't any availability. And my sleep was getting compromised. And the things that then fell by the wayside or didn't get done were often all the nice creative things that I really enjoy doing that aren't necessarily essential. And then obviously things like training and my social life and my downtime, which are all equally as important. So we're now a year on from that, and I've spent the last year in this stage of sorting so many things out within my business, but also within my personal life, to try and allow for more downtime and to try and be way more realistic with myself about what training I can do every week, what downtime I can have every week, and how I can show up as a coach in the capacity that I want to the standard that I want to. And on paper, none of that looks that much different. But mentally, the way I'm thinking about everything and approaching everything, it is so much different. And obviously this is my example, and I'm also tying in self-employment here. But the reason time management is so important right now in the world that we live in is because so many of us feel overwhelmed, overworked, and tired. And so when it comes to things like exercise or even hobbies or things that bring us joy, we can't do them. We can't do them sustainably because we don't have the capacity. And when we think of that from a training perspective, if we can't fit in our daily basics, our sleep, our food, our life admin, our downtime, if we can't fit all those basics in, as well as the things that bring us joy and happiness and our downtime alongside our working life, then training just isn't going to get done. It's going to fall by the wayside because it's not possible for it to be a priority. And I've had so many interesting conversations the last couple of months with my people about actually really looking at their schedule and figuring out time availability and being realistic about it. So lock in. If you're in the gym or you're on a run, I am very grateful to be keeping you company. Let's do the thing. Okay, so the big realization I had last year with my time availability, when I added everything up and I was like, oh, the math is not mathing, Lucinda. How could you possibly have thought you could fit all of this into a week? So what I want to do is I want to walk us through a standard week with everything that we might have to account for that you might not have thought of. So for context, we obviously have 24 hours in a day and we have 168 hours in a week. So if we work a standard 9 to 5 job, 8 hours, so that's 40 hours a week. If we want to sleep 8 hours a day, that is 56 hours a week. If we give ourselves an hour every morning to get up, get ready, and eat breakfast, that's 7 hours a week. If we travel to and from work, let's loosely say that's 2 hours a day, because transition time, faff time, that's 10 hours a week. If we think about eating dinner every day and tidying up, again, 7 hours a week. If we think about winding down to get in bed, getting ready for bed, brushing our teeth, maybe reading, listening to a podcast, 7 hours a week. If we think about daily hygiene, showering every day, getting dressed, getting changed after the gym, 7 hours a week. If we then think about life admin, so like laundry or cleaning, let's say 3 hours across the week for that. If we think about a food plan and a grocery shop, let's give that 2 hours, could be more depending on how far you live from a store. And then maybe spending a little bit of time prepping some food if you do that, 2 hours. And then the final kind of basic task I'm going to put on here is an hour of faff time per day. So just an hour where something might distract you, you end up where you're not needing to be, you fall down a scroll hole, you get distracted. Realistically for me, I need a lot more than that, but as I'm going rough and general with this, we're going to give that an hour a day, which is 7 hours a week. If we add that all up, remembering that we've got 168 hours in a week, that all adds up to 148 hours. And those are just the standard basics: work, life admin, traveling, prepping food, planning, cleaning, laundry, bit of faff time. All that is left for our training, our social life, and any downtime we might want or any time for hobbies is 20 hours. That is not a lot of time across the week. What does that equate to? 20 divided by 7. Just under 3 hours a day that we get to ourselves in the grand scheme of things. And when we look at it that way, that is really not a lot of time. And if you're a person that wants to go to the gym a few times a week and do a couple of runs, let's add that on. 3 gym sessions a week, going to allow 2 hours for each one, bearing in mind getting there and back. And then if you wanted to do 2 runs, going to allow an hour per run. Again, a little bit of faff, get ready, prep time, 2 hours. So that's another 8 hours. And then if you wanted to socialize just once a week, a lot of us might want to socialize more. Some of us might not want even 6 hours. That might be a lot. But if, say, you went out for an evening, let's call that 6 hours as well. That all adds up to 14 hours out of the spare 20. So if we now take that away, we are literally left with 6 hours of empty downtime, time in which we just exist. And that is, again, not a lot. It's not even an hour a day if you separate it out. So you can see how easy it is for us to not account for everything and lose time and not account for like transition time between things. This is just a really rough example that I mapped out the other week to demonstrate to a client. But what I've not even included in that after the gym and social life is hobbies or therapy or doctors or dentist appointments. Stuff like that isn't even in there. So when we're working with that little time availability, the things that will often take the hit are the things that we actually don't want to take the hit. And I know this from working with hundreds of people. And the things I see that take the hit are having less sleep, skipping a grocery shop or food prep, skipping your workouts. And those are 3 very, very crucial things for our overall long-term health and well-being. So what's important is that we just start to be straight up and honest with ourselves and maybe map this out to give yourself a visual, because that's the thing that really clicked for me. I think the most common things that take away our time that we don't account for are getting to and from the gym and work, and then obviously getting ready before and after sessions, having to have a quick shower, parking your car and walking to the gym if it's a little bit further away. We don't necessarily account for food prep and shopping or basic life maintenance like laundry, washing up, cooking, cleaning, weekly, bi-weekly therapy. We don't account for like doom scrolling or getting distracted or like waylaid by something or going on like an accidental side quest, which I'm really, really guilty for. Plans changing when we don't expect it to. Having heavy social weeks sometimes, which takes us away from other things. If you've got pets, taking care of them, vet appointments, dog walks, playtime. And then the other thing that we've not even considered on top of this is if you have to work more hours than you're meant to. If you're contracted to a 9 to 5, but you have to work overtime or stay late, or if you're self-employed and you're working on something very big that needs to get done or at a deadline, we're not accounting for all of these things that suck away our time. And some of those things may only suck away 10 to 20 minutes a day, but adding that up over time means that, yeah, we are getting less sleep and then we're feeling more tired. We have skipped our grocery shop, so we haven't eaten that well and we feel rubbish. We haven't gone to the gym this week, so we're annoyed that we haven't had that time, and we're annoyed that we aren't making the strength gains that we want to, you know? So the realization that we just don't have that much time really does hit hard, but that doesn't mean we can't find our own way around it. But it's not all doom and gloom, I promise. So now that we've talked about actually taking into account what our time availability is, the factor I'm going to throw in the ring that affects me and most of the people I work with is time blindness, a really big symptom for those of us that have ADHD. For neurodivergent folk especially, we really struggle with time blindness, thinking something takes X and it actually takes double. We really underestimate transition time or how long things take or getting from A to B. We often faff around or get distracted from the thing that we're meant to be doing, and before we know it, we've gone on a big side quest and missed our gym slot or forgot to put a load of washing in or wash up. And often that is why planning feels impossible, because we just can't gauge time accurately. And then that can often lead to a real struggle with executive dysfunction when days feel really hard and really frustrating. We're just not getting things done. We're spiraling and it's making everything worse. So in the end, we just do nothing. It's not easy at all. And I just wanted to give some space for that because it just isn't. There's no easy way around it. It is just really hard, and we have to parent ourselves a lot to not get in a really crappy headspace about it, because we're obviously responsible for sorting it out ourselves. No one's going to do it for us. Now, obviously, that example I laid out for us for a working week was so rough and general. So I wanted to talk about where we can actually get a bit of time back and where some of you might already be getting time back. So for example, if you're a person that works from home, so you're not going to and from the office every day, that's going to give you like an extra 10 hours back. So even if there's 2 days where you go into the office and 3 where you don't, you're getting a bunch of time back. If you pay £5 or £10 more, because that means the gym is closer to you, you could be getting back an hour and a half a week in gym travel time. If you opted to get your groceries delivered or do like a click and collect from a supermarket, again, that could save you 1 to 2 hours. And then the last really easy one is the amount of training sessions that you do. If you reduce them, that could also get you a good chunk of time back, depending on what's important to you. We're going to talk about that a bit later on. And then we've got the more expensive solutions that can get us our time back. So if you were someone that had the means to have a cleaner or send your laundry out, that could get you 3 hours back. If you could afford to have a meal prep service so all your lunches and dinners were delivered a couple of times a week, you're going to get washing up time back, grocery shopping time back, meal prep time back, meal planning time back. And I'm not a person that can afford any of these things. I have done a couple of meal prep services, but only when I've had a 50% off code. But when I really did think about this, as a self-employed person that's really busy, if I could afford to have a cleaner and to have a weekly meal prep service, I think with the time that would get me back, I would probably bite someone's hand off. And the question here is, can you afford that? And if so, do you want to prioritize it? Because for some people, that might make a lot of sense. If you're a busy parent and you work shifts, getting your laundry sent out for your whole family probably makes a lot of sense. But if you're a person with no kids that works from home, you probably don't need to send your laundry out because you can probably just throw a load in here and there while you're working from home on your working day. So sometimes the expensive solutions can make sense if you have the means. I think if I had a ton of disposable income, the first thing I would do would be maybe get a cleaner. I think that would maybe be the thing that would help me, because when I get to the weekend and I have to do a bunch of chores, I'm always so tired, and it's always the last thing I want to do when I just want to be, hanging out with my partner, doing a bit of a longer dog walk, lounging around a bit more. So I think if I had the cash, I would do something like that to save myself a bit of time as a small business owner for sure. Now, when we think about the things that we do outside of all of our basic everyday working life admin, in the time that we have left, there are often trade-offs that we just don't want to make. So if you're a person that socializes a couple of times a week, 2 or 3 times a week, obviously if you stop doing that, you'd get time back. But do you want that? How would it make you feel not seeing your mates, or not going to have a yap with a friend, or going round someone's for dinner, or going out, or going to a gig? That's not really a trade-off you want to make. If you currently have a hobby, like you craft, or you do art, or you make music, or you're a gamer, if you stop doing that to get time back, is that worth it? Probably not, because if it brings you joy, you want to include it. So it's all well and good, life coaches and mentors on the internet, like Alex, get all your food delivered. Stop playing games. Stop scrolling. Don't watch Netflix. That's how you get your time back. So when there's trade-offs we don't want to make, like with social life and hobbies and things that make us happy, sometimes we end up sacrificing the things that we shouldn't sacrifice for our well-being: sleep, exercise, food, basic hygiene. And none of those things are things we should be sacrificing. So I've got a few reality check prompts for you, which are all things that I've asked myself and asked the people that I work with when they're struggling to fit their training in and we're trying to figure out what the main barrier is. What is most important to you? What is most valuable to you? And are these things the same thing? If you're a person that values your friends, likes having a bit of time to exercise, but also likes having a bit of time to be a blanket goblin and watch Netflix, is that also what you value? Or do you really want to bump up your running and train more like a leisurely athlete and enter some races and really push yourself? And that feels really important. What is most important to you? What is most valuable to you? And is what you're actually doing a reflection of the things that are important and valuable to you in your life? If you want to exercise a few times a week, see your mates a couple of times a week, have some downtime, being a blanket goblin watching Netflix, or playing some games, chilling out, getting cozy, if all of those things are important to you, are you doing them? If you are wanting to get really jacked, really strong, and train for a marathon, if that's really important to you, but the things that you're using your spare time for don't line up with that, then there's a disconnect. So we almost have to make everything line up with what we want for ourselves in our life. And that can change. That can change at any point in the year and in your life. For example, if we spend 20 weeks training for a marathon, we're only doing that for 20 weeks of the year. So the other 32 weeks, your values and what's important to you may shift. So you may do something differently. So when you've asked yourself those reality check questions, what's most important to you? What's most valuable to you? And are you doing those things? Then we kind of want to ask ourselves, are we kidding ourselves with the amount of stuff that we're trying to fit in? And that was maybe the hardest question that I had to ask myself. Am I kidding myself with the amount of stuff that I'm putting on my schedule that is just not at all possible in 168 hours a week? And I totally was, and admitting that felt rubbish, but I'm here on and I feel loads better. So let's talk about actual practical solutions, not just hustle culture, lifestyle coach, influencer solutions that are not solutions. If you're currently trying to do like 5 sessions a week, that might just not be realistic. And you need to choose what matters most with the little time that you have. And just because something is ideal for you, it doesn't mean that it's sustainable. So if you think, yeah, 5 sessions a week would be wicked, that would be awesome. But then you actually do the exercise where you map out everything you have to do every week and you're like, yeah, there's no room for that. But 3 would work. You may have to make a decision that allows you to make peace with that. If you were really hell-bent on doing 5 sessions a week and you didn't want anything to get in its way, you might take time from other areas, and that might be your social life, that might be your Netflix time, that might be time spent elsewhere. You would have to take from that. And I guess the main thing I really want you all to take from the episode today is that sometimes we've got to make peace with just doing less. And that feels really counterproductive, especially in the society that we live in. But it is a mindset shift that is very important. Making peace with doing less isn't failure. You're not failing. You're just being realistic with yourself. And going back to that question, like, are you kidding yourself with what you're trying to do, how much you're trying to fit in? But a lot of us definitely are. And that's quite a hard conversation to have in your brain. So if you need to sound it out, chat to your people about it. Therapist, coach, partner, mates. Because once you accept that your time is limited, that's going to feel like it gives you more freedom because you're not spending so much time stressing about cramming everything in. You know exactly what you have available and you know how you can make the most out of it. And then when we relate that back to your training, if you're a person that's been trying to do 5 sessions and you go down to 3, the quality of that training is probably going to be awesome. And I've actually got a podcast coming soon on low volume training and how it can be so good when the programming's right. So that's one for you to look forward to if you're going to potentially consider cutting down your sessions, but you're still wanting to get super strong, super jacked and run fast and far and be enduring. So bottom line, we just don't have as much time as we think we do. And if we feel like we're just constantly running around trying to fit stuff in, not being able to tick everything off, we feel overwhelmed, stressed, always on the go, like we have no time to chill. I want you to do that exercise where you map everything out. I have a little template that I can show you, so feel free to DM me. I'll send you through my example and how I did it for me. And I just want to remind you all that it's okay to do less and make peace with doing less if that's what you need to do. If you do this exercise where you map out everything in a spreadsheet and you're like, oh, I have loads of time, I literally have an abundance of time, then you maybe have a planning and organization problem. But I'd say 8 times out of 10, a lot of people are just cramming too much in, including myself. So since I had this realization, I've started making a lot of changes in my work schedule, but also with my training and my social life. I think the thing that I missed most was a social life. I don't feel like I'd had much of one for the last few years. And when I really thought about that, it kind of made me sad. So a big commitment for myself this year was, making sure that I continue to do fun stuff with all my people. And I've 100% done that. And it's made me so happy. And that has meant that I've trained less. And the compromise that I made is that I recorded less podcasts. I did one every 2 weeks or one every 3 weeks. And I've made a lot less free content on TikTok and Instagram, which is a shame because I love doing that. But at the end of the day, I was giving so much of myself to so many different things. And I wasn't really keeping anything left for me. And yeah, I don't post TikToks every day anymore, or Instagram reels, or a grid post every day, but I still show up every week, and my clients are all really well looked after, and they're all doing amazing. I don't have my coach give me 6 training sessions anymore, because right now, for where I am in life, that's not realistic for me. But every so often, I do end up training 6 times, because I might have a bit more free time, or I might finish something early, or I might not go on 1,000 side quests a week and get loads of things done quickly. The hard truth is, like, this shit is not easy. Most of us are juggling more than we think. So let's just accept that it's okay to have different priorities seasonally, even if it doesn't go with the seasons. But obviously, some people find that easier because of the passing of time, the seasons. But yeah, let's not get into that. And giving yourself permission to adjust your expectations of yourself. If I record a podcast every single week, and if I make TikToks every single day, as well as managing a full roster of coaching, then that's taking things away from my life that I miss. So the compromise was to prioritize the main parts of my job that are most important, the people I work with directly, and pull back a bit in other areas to allow myself to feel a little bit less stressed, and not try to have this high power output for content that is an essential part of my job, but not anywhere near as essential in other areas. And the really funny thing about all of this is literally the second podcast I have recorded this week, because I have had the time and capacity. And when that happens, that's really nice. Hello, legends. So I was editing this podcast and I realized what a crucial episode it was probably going to be, and how important it was, and how much I probably wanted to use this as a resource. So what I've done is I've actually gone away and made a free resource for you all, so you can actually look at your time availability. And I know I said earlier on in the podcast you could just reach out to me and I would DM you it, but then I thought, well, let me just actually set it up so you don't have to DM me and you can just access it yourself. So head to the link in the show notes and I will have a link to the system that I use to visualize my time availability. And if this is something that you have been struggling with and you just haven't ever really figured it out, the one thing that I would really love you to go and do is go and grab that resource and do this for yourself. It can probably take you anywhere from 5 minutes to half an hour, but that could be half an hour that will absolutely change your life, your outlook on the time you have, and hopefully lead to a more sustainable routine for you. So please go and grab that. This one is on me. Let me help. I hope this has been a good episode for you all. Take it easy, small gain family. That is me out. Love you.